barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of God Almighty be upon all of you, and welcome to this evening's open house, open mosque and Iftar dinner. As is customary and traditional with our programs, we begin with the recitation of a portion of the Holy Quran, which is a revealed book, which actually began revelation during this month of Ramadan. So I will ask Ibrahim Chaudhry to please come up and recite a few verses and translation.
Assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessings of God be on you all. I'll be reciting the verses of the chapter of the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verses 184 to 186. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. The English translation is, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. O ye who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may guard against evil. The prescribed fasting is for a fixed number of days. But whoso among you is sick or is on a journey shall fast the same number of other days. And for those who are able to fast only with great difficulty is an expiation. the feeding of a poor man, and whoso does good of his own accord, it is better for him. And fasting is good for you if you only knew. The month of Ramadan is that in which the Holy Quran was revealed, as a guidance for mankind with clear proofs of guidance and discrimination. Therefore, whosoever of you is present at home in this month, let him fast therein. But whosoever is temporarily sick or is on a journey shall fast the same number of other days. Allah desires ease for you, and He desires not hardship for you. And He desires that you may complete the number, and that you may exalt Allah for His having guided you, and that you may be grateful.
Thank you, Ibrahim. So once again, thank you very much to all our guests for joining us this evening at our 5th annual Iftar dinner. This year is a bit different. We've opened it up to a broader audience. We've done it over the past few years since the inception of this mosque on a smaller scale, but we figured that we should invite our neighbors, as Islam teaches that the rights of our neighbors are a critical component of our faith. So by opening it up to our neighbors and friends and officials, we hope that we bring that dialogue and that religious and tolerance that we're taught in Islam. The community that we're a part of is the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, which was founded by the promised Messiah, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, in 1889. So the community is established on the same tenets of Islam that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, set forth 1400 plus years ago. So we believe that through these open houses and interfaith activities that we can continue to build these interfaith and peace and harmony events, and we thank you all for being a part of this. I just wanted to quickly give a rundown of tonight's program. We have a welcome address that will be delivered by our president of our local chapter, followed by a presentation on the month of Ramadan and fasting, followed by some Q&As. And we also have some distinguished guests here among us that we will allow the opportunity to say a few words. And then we will head outside for refreshments and dinner. So I hope you came hungry. What better way for us to promote peace than by breaking bread together? So we hope that this event lives up to your expectations. And if there's anything that we can do for you while you're here, please feel free to reach out to any one of us who are with the name tags, any of the organizers, and we'll be happy to help. So without further ado, I will request our president of this Central Virginia chapter of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Tariq Amjad, to come up and welcome all of you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. My heartfelt welcome to all of our guests who have come here for the first time. Since this mosque was built in 1912, we have been holding these get-togethers in month of Ramadan. And this year, as you have been told that we opened it up to all our neighbors as well. Again, we welcome everyone, because mosque is a house of Allah and is a place of worship. And even in the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he opened his mosque up for Christians who were visiting him on a journey.
And I was
for their
also,
prayers. So mosque is open to anyone and everyone, anytime. Today is special because we want to break bread with you and share how we open our fast and share how we are grateful to Allah to give us this opportunity to keep the fast for its sake, and then break bread in the evening together. So again, we have a bookstall here which is open for all our guests. You can look at the books. If anything of interest, please, help yourself. If we do not have a copy, we'll get it mailed to you. If you have any questions, get those ready because we will have a question and answer session afterwards. And again, enjoy the food because our Ziyafat team, Ziyafat is the food preparation department. They have gone to an extent to do their best to accommodate all tastes. So if there are any shortcomings, please, forgive us. And next time we'll try to make it up. But certainly, let's get to know each other. I want to, get to know you as well as you can talk to any one of our members. And this is how we are going to build the friendship and brotherhood. So with that, now I request Haris Raja Saab to come and introduce the concept of fasting and how we are going to go through this tonight's event. So, thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Greetings of peace from all of you. My name is Haris Raja. I'm serving as a local secretary of propagation for the Northern Virginia chapter here. And I would like to give more time for Q&A because I'm sure you guys have some questions that you would like to ask. So I would like to leave more time for that. But very briefly, would like to address the concept of Ramadan. It is one of the pillars of Islam. As a Muslim, we believe in 5 pillars. First one is the unity of God. Second one is the 5 daily prayers. Then there's the month of Ramadan in which we fast. Then there is a component of financial sacrifice, which is the 4th pillar. And the 5th one is the pilgrimage to Mecca, the center of Islam. Fasting has been there in some form or shape in the previous religions as well, as was mentioned in the Holy Quran as well. The Holy Quran started revealing in the month of Ramadan, and it ended in the month of Ramadan, and every year the angel Gabriel used to come and recite the entire Holy Quran with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam during the month of Ramadan. In the month of Ramadan, we refrain from not only eating and drinking during the day, but we also try to elevate ourselves spiritually. We try to be good human beings, not indulging in any quarrels, not doing any mischief, not indulging in any worldly things that would occupy us for this world, but devote ourselves more and concentrate on working on our spirituality. We start with the morning prayer, and even before that, a short breakfast, quick breakfast before the sun rises, and once the sun rises, we don't eat or drink anything until the sun goes down. So all the members of the community who are sitting here, they have been fasting, and we are about to open our fast as the sun would go down. And since the month of Ramadan is based on the lunar calendar, which is 10 days shorter than the solar calendar, so the month of Ramadan rotates throughout the year. These days, it's during the time of summer. It would, in a few years, go to winter, and then it would continue to rotate like that. And then, at the end of the month of Ramadan, sometimes there are 29 fasts, sometimes there are 30 fasts, depending on the lunar month. And at the end of the month of Ramadan, we celebrate, and it's called the event of Eid, which you may have heard. Eid means something that often repeats itself, and it comes every year, and Muslims celebrate not only the benevolence of Allah the Almighty, that He gave us the opportunity to spend the month of Ramadan, but also this month of Ramadan teaches us to be empathetic towards our fellow human beings. When we don't eat and drink during the day, we can empathize with those who don't have food, the people who are less fortunate. And this gives us a better, deeper appreciation of humanity. And one of the major purposes of Ramadan is also to connect back with humanity. The word Ramadan actually roots from a word that means 2 kinds of fire. There's one kind of fire that you have for the higher being, for the Allah the Almighty, where you want to connect with Him. And the other fire is the fire for the fellow human beings that you want to do good for them. And you want to be a better person in the society. So with that, I will stop here. And if I may request Usman Chaudhry Sahib to please come up here and help me with the Q&A, that would be appreciated. And now the floor is open for any one of you who would like to ask any question, and we would like to answer the questions. Our local Imam Sahib, he was supposed to do this, and he just got injured yesterday. He's doing all right, but he was not able to attend today because he's not feeling well. So on his behalf, I'm going to open it up, and some of the community members will help me out, and we will answer the questions. Yes, please.
Have you been mistreated by anybody in the community? Are there things that, because I hear news and all the crazy things going on, how have you as a group here been treated?
Well, by the grace of Allah, we have lovely neighbors in this neighborhood, and we really thank them with the level of support that they have shown us. In some of the incidences that have happened throughout the world, like the latest New Zealand incident that happened, where we saw some, chalk writings here on our wall, on our floor, that, we're with you, keep doing the good work. And our community prides itself to be the community that promotes love, that promotes harmony, peace, and our motto is love for all, hatred for none. So when you present that kind of gesture to the local communities, most often than not, I would say majority of the people would reciprocate with the same gesture, with the same sentiment. And of course there are, occasions here and there where you may get some mistreatment, but I wouldn't characterize that as one of the bigger issues. I would say this community has been very good with us, and we would like to reciprocate the same thing with them.
Thank you.
Any other? Yes, please.
I'm just curious, I guess the key doctrinal differences between Ahmadiyya Muslims and Sunni Shia or other Muslim groups.
Yes, that's an excellent question. So fundamentally, the 5 pillars that I mentioned are exactly the same. The person, in order to become a Muslim, one has to initiate La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, that there's only one God who is worthy of worship, and for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, is his messenger. Everything is exactly the same. Our belief system, our rituals, our practices, the pillars of Islam, the things that we believe in the books of God, in the angels of God, in the Day of Judgment. The difference is that the mainstream Muslims, Sunnis and Shias mainly, they have been waiting for a promised Messiah. And that promised Messiah was foretold by the Prophet of Islam himself. And this community believes that that person has indeed appeared in this world, and he has come to this world to reform the teachings of Islam, the original teachings, the true teachings of Islam, and to dispel the misconceptions that have been now have taken root in Islam. Some of the major concepts, for example, the fighting of sword, for example. This is one of the concepts of Islam that the promised Messiah said that today, in this day and age, since the enemy is not attacking us with the sword, we don't really need to take up arms. And we need to fight with the arguments, with the writings, with the verbal arguments, how they're attacking us, the opponents of Islam, not necessarily through sword. And then the concept of the person of Jesus. In Muslims, the predominant concept is that the Prophet Jesus, who we believe to be the Prophet, he was not, he was put on the cross, but he was then resurrected with the physical body in the heavens. And he will come down physically from the heaven, and he would be the promised Messiah. Our community believe that that's not the case. This was metaphor, that this person who would be from the community of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will have the same characteristics, he will have the same attributes as the Prophet Jesus. He would be meek of heart, he would be more geared towards the peaceful message, not a not using any force, and promoting the message through peace. So we believe that that similitude has been established in the person of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who we believe to be the Messiah. So that's the Muslim concept. And then Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also claimed to be the Messiah for the rest of the humanity as well, because as you may know, a lot of other religions are also waiting for the second coming of the Messiah. So we believe that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is also the second coming of the Messiah that could be applicable to the Christian faith and even the Jewish faith, because Jews are still waiting for the first Messiah to appear. So this is a longer conversation, but I wanted to give you the very direct difference between our community and the rest of the Muslims. Yes?
You said Ramadan. Why is Ramadan not Ramadan?
Ramadan. Yes, so the word Dad in Arabic is pronounced somewhere in between Dad and Dad. So since I'm not an Arab, I may not be able to do justice with the correct pronunciation of this word. But yes, it should be pronounced somewhere between Ramazan and Ramadan. It should be in between, but that's the correct pronunciation. You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, in the Western culture, you hear one word very often is jihad. What did Hazrat Masih Maud, the founder of Jamaat, said about jihad?
Yes. So jihad literally means to struggle, and it could be all kinds of struggle. Holy Prophet ﷺ once said that the biggest jihad is to fight against your own evil nature that is inside everybody, which incites you to do bad deeds. So fighting against that, Satan of yourself inside you, that's the biggest jihad. Then there are all kinds of other forms of jihad. You can do jihad with pen by promoting a peaceful message of Islam through writings. You can do jihad by promoting education. You can do jihad even through financial sacrifices that you make for promoting and the message of Islam, or for establishing the peaceful ministry of any religious leader. And one other meaning of jihad is also jihad through sword, which nowadays has become a predominant meaning of jihad nowadays. That in the media, what you see is all the time that these Muslims are up in the arms, and they're just trying to kill the infidels, and everybody else is infidel, and Muslims are just trying to take over the world. That concept is a misconstrued concept, and that's one of the fundamental things that the promised Messiah came and corrected. He said that blanket idea of just taking up in arms and killing people without any reason, without any central leadership, without any justification of going to war. And by the way, war has been always defensive. If you read the early history of Islam, yes, the Prophet of Islam did take part in some wars, but when we read the history of Islam, those wars were conducted as a self-defense, which is very logical. If someone, 13 years, the Prophet of Islam stayed in Mecca, and he was peaceful, and he was propagating the message of Islam, sometimes in a hidden way, because it wasn't very popular to promote Islam in Mecca, and there was a lot of opposition. So then he fled Mecca, he left Mecca, and with the hope that now I will go to this other city, Medina, and I will be able to promote and do my duties there. And then the Meccans, they didn't leave him alone. They chased him all the way back to Mecca, and then when they attacked him, he had to fight for self-defense and for the safety of the people who were around him. So that was the genesis of how the jihad of sword came into Islam. It wasn't really for promoting or propagating Islam, and not for establishing Islam. It was actually for safeguarding Islam and defending Islam. But nowadays, that concept is misconstrued, and that is not the right teachings of Islam. Islam does not promote any kind of violence, and especially does not promote any kind of killing. Actually, as a matter of fact, Islam says that if you kill one person unjustly, that is as if you have killed the whole mankind. Do we have time for one more question, or? Okay, maybe one more question, and then because it's getting closer to our opening of the fast as well. Yes, please.
So you had mentioned Sunni and Shia, and that's what most Americans know of the Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims. But is Ahmadiyya a separate sect, the Sunni, Shia, Ahmadiyya, and others? And how do those all connect together?
Right. That's a great question. Yes, Ahmadiyya is one of the sects of Islam. It is separate from Sunnis and Shias. And they all come together. The commonalities are, as I mentioned, the same initiation, that there's none worthy of worship except Allah, and Prophet Muhammad is the final and last prophet of Allah. We believe the same thing as Ahmadi Muslims. All the 5 pillars of Islam are common. But if you are thinking in terms of leadership, we don't have a central leadership for all the sects of Islam. However, we do have spiritual leadership in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and that's one of the hallmarks of this community as well, that when the promised Messiah came, after he passed away, there was a system of caliphate that got established in Ahmadiyya, similar to how it was done at the demise of the Prophet of Islam. When the Prophet of Islam passed away, the system of caliphate started, which was the spiritual leadership in Islam, which is necessary, which is very, very important, because nowadays all these issues that we see in the Muslim communities, in Shias and Sunnis, is the lack of leadership, is because we don't have a central figure who we can go to and run these things by, who can guide us that this is, legit, this is not legit, this is doable, this is not doable. So we need that kind of guidance on an ongoing basis. And our community is blessed to have that spiritual guidance in the form of Mirza Masroor Ahmad. He is our worldwide head. He resides in London, UK. All right, so with that, I thank you very much for your time. I know it was short, but it's not going to end here. We will have dinner, and I will be around. Other members of the community will be around as well. And we are more than happy to answer your questions in a more intimate setting when we're breaking bread. Maybe you can ask more tougher questions or maybe more lighter questions, whichever you guys will. But at this point, I will request Habib Iqbal to please come up and introduce our guest who will be speaking, addressing us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Haris, for those enlightening question and answer session. So as was mentioned, we do have some guests among us. We have from the Fairfax County Police Department, we have a couple of officers with us in the back. Please, if you don't mind. And I believe we might have other guests. I'm sorry, I've been walking all over the place. I think there's some delegates, Virginia State delegates that are here. If so, we can definitely introduce you after the session. We can talk. But we have with us a good friend of our community, Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton, who just recently took over office in the 10th Congressional District, which is where this mosque is located. And she's been a great friend. She's been here before. So I wanted to give her a few minutes to address the audience. And just as a time check, the breaking of the fast, I believe, is at 8:17 today. So we will break fast at 8:17. And at that time, the call to prayer will happen. So the call to prayer basically signifies the time that the evening prayer begins and sunset has happened. So you can listen in on the evening prayer. We'll have the translation playing simultaneously. And at that time, our members, housekeeping note, are requested to leave from the exit on my left. And there is a station on the left side to serve, and guests are welcome to join us from where your shoes are and outside to my right for some refreshments. So without further ado, Congresswoman Wexton, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Well, I am very, very pleased to be here with you this evening. My name is Jennifer Wexton. I'm the new member of Congress for Virginia's 10th District. And it is not my first time at this mosque, but it is my first time addressing the greater group. And I'm so happy to be here during this holy month of Quran, of Ramadan. The Quran says that God made us into nations and tribes so that we may know one another. And for me, one of the most gratifying parts of being a public servant has been getting to know the Muslim community here in Northern Virginia. So I have been many, many times to Friday prayers, and I have heard the imams speak of charity. I heard them speak of good works. I have heard them speak of respecting our elders and of doing things for the community to help the greater good. And you will not be surprised to hear that those are all the same things that I heard in the Catholic Church in which I grew up, and in Sabbath prayers in the Jewish temples with my husband's family. So what has become clear is that we all share more and have more in common than we have in terms of differences. And that is so important in today's world, because there are so many who want to divide us. And Islamophobia is real. I don't need to tell you guys that. You know it already. We have seen it at the state level, we have seen it at the national level. And for all those people who want to divide us and who want to create fear and division, I would say, look at the things that bring us together, because there's so much more than that which divides us. And I will always, always be an ambassador for the Muslim community. I did it in Richmond, and I'll do it nationally, because there's so much more that we have in common than that which divides us. I am incredibly honored to be serving with the two first Muslim American women to ever be serving in the United States Congress, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, and they are fantastic, wonderful ambassadors for you. But I will do the same thing, because I understand how important it is, and how the freedom that we have in this country for our sons and our daughters to grow up and rise to be whatever they will be is what makes America great. And I will be here for you from this day forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. So we do have a few minutes before the breaking of the fast, and we wanted to quickly play a video. It's a short video. It actually highlights the recent trip of our Caliph to the United States this past November, where during this trip he visited a few different states, inaugurated some mosques, talked about peace and how we Muslims in our communities can help establish peace and the neighborly bond that unites all of us. So I'd like to play that video now, so if I can request our audio video team downstairs to cue it up. It's about 7 minutes, thank you.
Special mention is made to fulfilling the rights of one's neighbors. Muslims are taught to love and protect their neighbors and to be ever ready to help them in their times of need. In times of grief and despair, we will always be there to wipe away the tears of our neighbors and to support and comfort them. That Islam is completely opposed to all forms of extremism, terrorism, or violence. It condemns in the strongest possible terms any attempts to violate freedom of belief and freedom of conscience. Under no circumstances does Islam permit coercion or force in the matter of religion.
Your Holiness, we welcome you to Baltimore. You honor us with your presence
and you inspire us by your leadership. The communities that you lead have helped build a stronger and more peaceful Baltimore, Maryland, and America. And your leadership has been global in communities around the world. Your message of peace and love are desperately needed now more than ever before. And you inspire us by your presence and your words here in Baltimore that we all can do better. And we very much appreciate you taking time from your global schedule to come here with your message of peace and hope for mankind. God bless.
I want to thank you all, and thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. I think that God sent this mosque to this neighborhood and to this city. I really do believe that the things that we're struggling with, the difficulties we struggle with, can be helped by positive people and positive role models who can show our children the right way. We can eliminate our addiction issues. We can eliminate our educational problems and our violence if we turn towards each other, respect each other, love each other, and show that we can all live in harmony together. And that's what the city was founded for. That's what it's all about, and I can't tell you how honored I am to be here this evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to offer His Holiness the key to our city and welcome him. Thank you.
And I'm honored to invite you to say today something especially important. This is really an honor to be here today to welcome His Holiness to the great city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. On behalf of Philadelphians, I'd like to say to the Muslim community that your message of peace are welcome here. There certainly have been increases in hateful public rhetoric from some Americans in recent years, but I want you to know that the vast majority of men are welcome, and that we stand with you against hatred, prejudice, and violence. As Dr. Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
We are one community, we are one country, and we celebrate your opening of this beautiful mosque. We welcome you in our midst. We celebrate your spiritual legacy and what it brings to our community. It makes us better too. And I was also very honored to be able to co-author the resolution, the House resolution, welcoming your visit and you, Your Holiness, to the United States, commending your efforts to promote individual and global peace and justice, recognizing your unequivocal condemnation of extremism and violence, even in the face of persecution, and praising your commitment to universal human rights, religious freedom, and democracy. We are honored to have you here today, and we look forward to worshiping for many years in this holy place. Thank you.
I have had the wonderful opportunity of being with His Holiness on, I think now 4 or possibly 5 occasions over the last few years. And whenever I am in His presence, I feel the spirit of wisdom, of reconciliation, of love, and of tolerance that He brings. And I would echo what Congressman Connolly said. We need that spirit now more than ever amongst us.
The Governor appreciates your work towards peace and justice around the world and the message of service to humanity and universal human rights. These are also values we hold very dear in Virginia.
I was incredibly inspired because he reminded us that it's about love for all and hatred for no one. And at the end of the day, it's about love, compassion, justice, And that's what we need, especially in the city of Baltimore. So I was incredibly inspired and in awe that his presence was here, and it was very, very much timely.
It was a real honor to meet with His Holiness. His message of hope and peace, of love, is so desperately needed here in America and around the world. And he spent time out his schedule to come here to our city and our state. We are deeply honored.
I was awestruck. He has a presence about him. You're just drawn. That's all I can say is you're drawn to him. His speech just brought you in even deeper. I really appreciated him saying that we will wipe your tears if you have troubles. How many people say that to you? His Holiness actually said that to us. I almost started to cry. I almost started to cry from hearing him say that we will wipe your tears.
Okay, so thank you very much. So we have 3 minutes left, so we can start making our way outside. And as soon as the call to prayer happens, you'll hear it outside. And that signifies the time of breaking of the fast. So please request our guests to, the host, if I can request the host to please guide the guests from the right side, and all our members, please exit to the left. Thank you very much.